Hey, Databricks community. Good to be here with you. And Databricks, thanks for giving us a few minutes to share our story. The GM mission: zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion. To some people, words on a slide. To others, like me, deeply personal. You see, I know a 6-year-old that was killed in a car crash. So this future cannot come fast enough for me. But is it strategic? Yes. Customers increasingly want a vehicle that thinks about their safety, security, and comfort. So the company that figures these things out will increasingly write the rule book of the future, and GM wants to be that firm. But there's a trick. To get there, this 115-year-old company that has a storied legacy in hardware must become a software company. No easy trick. So where do we start? GM has a ton of data. That's not the problem. We had a beautiful on-prem infrastructure. Why change? Well, 2 reasons. Number 1 was data efficiency. GM did a time and motion study, and we determined that every year we spend 200 person years in the hunting and gathering of data. Now, don't quote me on that. We've made a lot of progress since that study was run, but you get the order of magnitude of the problem. But more importantly, in the last few years, the world changed. And GM understood that if we didn't have AI and ML in our arsenal, we could find ourselves at a competitive disadvantage. So we needed to transform, and about 15 months ago, GM decided if we're going to change the future, we must change ourselves today. So how do we go about doing it? Well, we were going to be all about the cloud, which meant that we needed to shift our culture. Safety first, safety first, safety first. That was an immutable rule, but underneath that, it was all builder mindset. We were going to get in there, we were going to build things, and we were going to learn and grow, and that was going to be how we were going to approach it. We would find patterns that worked in the cloud, and we would build an insight factory. That would be the best in the West Coast approach, the best of the cloud, and we'd print that out into a blueprint that we would share with others at GM. And to do that, we decided we would, sorry, I'm catching up, build it all on Databricks. Why? Because we had totally aligned interests. We needed to move from data and solution silos to single sources of truth with rapid collaboration. We needed to move away from fragmented governance into simple, unified governance. And we felt if we did those 2 things extremely well, that we'd be able to go from pockets of limited AI and ML execution, and GM has some wonderful things, to really building AI and ML into the DNA of GM. If we could do that, maybe we would change GM forever. So this is what the Insight Factory looks like today. I'm super proud of the work of the team. It's an end-to-end system with a React UI that allows us to control all of the data. We define the quality and the medallion process so we can see every hop and no hop missed. We control the strategic IP that goes in there because we should own it. That's our competitive advantage. We can refine quickly and present insights in a beautiful GM-branded React interface. But I have to admit, building this isn't easy. A system like this, super complex, it's dynamic, everything's changing every day. And on top of that, you make mistakes. So we pushed ourselves to our limit and sometimes beyond, but we built it off of scar tissue and grit, and it took a village. But the good news is we got here in a record time. So imagine going from almost nowhere on this to having this entire system in like maybe 9 months. Here's some good news for us to share. Unity Catalog basically worked out of the box for us, got us in the game. And the open ecosystem allowed us to have a low-friction way to go after that hunt and gather stat I talked about before, using Immuta for policy compression and Atlan for end-to-end visibility from the cloud all the way back to our on-prem. 2 lessons learned along the way. Managing a node in the mesh takes a lot of technical talent. So when things like serverless and lakehouse apps come along, it really helps us with our ability to scale. Databricks community, please keep those coming. They're really being put to good use. But the other thing that we learned is GM has a lot of very smart and talented people already. They've built AI and ML, but it's in these little pockets and in these silos. So something like ML Flow that gives them a path to production. You can feel GM's data intelligence rising already. On top of that, everything that's happening with Gen AI, we're going to layer in next year. And we feel like with that, we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the world. So we opened the factory, and we just needed the killer app. So about 2 weeks after the factory opened, we got a knock on the door from a guardian angel. I don't think that's her actual title at the firm, but one of the nicest people in the world, and her job is customer safety. And at General Motors, that's a big deal. Nothing is more important. And her job is to know the health of all the cars on the road, which ones might need a little bit of attention or service. She was experiencing this exact problem. Insights that she should get in an afternoon might be taking her days or weeks or even a month. She was having to go to all these silos and do complex joins. Now imagine her world. Tens of millions of cars on the road, different combinations of sensors, and all these new cars are coming in and they're more intelligent, more sensors. So this is near a max complexity problem, and there's only one way out of it, and it's going to be AI and ML. So of course we could help. We welcomed her into the factory. 15 underlying sources, we plugged that into the cloud, rapidly exposed the data in Unity Catalog, and GM was scratching their heads. The meeting that we went into where we said we had brought this all to life in the cloud, they were like, I thought we were going to have a follow-up PowerPoint meeting or a discussion to align on the next steps. We said, no, we're just building. We started to hammer out the first silver table, and it was terrible. Nobody liked it. Then we had another meeting. We said, listen, we're going to pivot and rapidly get this better. And they said, this one has too many warts. But then gradually, because we all had the same mission in mind, we were seeing the same data, we started to come into alignment. And that's the way GM's going to get to this future. Smart people looking at the same data and getting into flow state rapidly is the path out of this. So to me, that's a great start. It's year one at GM. We got momentum. The company got oriented. We put thousands of people into Databricks. We're reducing the time to insight, and we're finding ways to contribute value. In year two, we're going to layer on AI and perhaps take another step at GM towards our mission of zero crashes. So if you're a person that loves a good challenge, we have the mission and the data and now the tech. What we need are people that are willing to change the world. Please take a look. We'd love for you to join us at GM. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your conference.